This morning's story from the 8th chapter of the Gospel of Luke is a great one which most of us can enjoy. One preacher has described it as a hoot, somewhere between a political cartoon and a graphic novel. You've got a naked crazy guy, chatty demons, charging pigs, doing swan dives, tombs, chains, shackles, freaked out locals, and a small riot. But it's also a story which would have entertained the folks who first heard it. What could be more fun for the good Jews of Galilee to hear than a story about how unkosher, unlucky, and generally weird the Gentiles on the other side of the lake really were, and about how all those unclean pigs came to a well-deserved and hilarious end. Then there's the political subtext. Everyone knew instantly both that it was no accident that the demons called themselves Legion, after the famous and feared Roman legions, or that pigs were a staple of both the Roman army and the Roman economy. The story would have been sending the message to the audience that Caesar's legions and Caesar's rations were mere child's play for Jesus, a quick flush and they're gone. And most Romans who heard the story probably wouldn't even have picked up on that. But as delightful as all this is, both for us and for the first century Jewish audience, it's much more than a mildly amusing anecdote nestled away within the gospel accounts of Jesus' earthly ministry. It's really good news. And it's good news about the restoration of relationships. You see, there are a lot of powers out there. Powers that can and do hurt and isolate and torment and destroy in all sorts of ways. The categories we use to describe them don't really matter that much. Whether we live in a world full of demons or schizophrenics, of storm gods or indifferent natural laws, of illness or of possession, regardless of the categories we use, without God's grace at work in our lives, we usually end up in broken relationships. In fact, I would dare say that there are a lot more of us than we might at first imagine who can pretty easily relate to this morning's demon-possessed graveyard resident. We may not spend our times in the local cemeteries, and we may not run around town buck naked, but we know what it's like to be possessed by demons. Demons that destroy relationships. There is the demon of resentment, which gnaws away at the human spirit, usually recognized by its thin disguise of justifiable anger. Resentment is a demon strong enough to break up the strongest of relationships, and it will transform us into creatures so hideous that our circle of friends can no longer stand to be around us. There is the demon of low self-esteem. It prevents the beautiful character of a person from flourishing. Like the late frost that knocks the buds off a flowering plant, low self-esteem prevents the world from enjoying the innate beauty of those of us who are possessed by it. And in so doing, it robs us of relationships that would have otherwise nourished our souls. And there's the demon of fear, fear of the unknown. It's what keeps us from experiencing all the wonders of the universe. Fear of pain, which keeps us from experiencing loving relationships. The demon of fear almost always will disguise itself as safety, We think we are safe when we live in fear, but we're not. We're simply imprisoned. And there is a demon which goes by many different names, but can be easily recognized by the picture it forever holds in front of our eyes. It's a picture of grass that gets greener and greener as it stretches into the distant horizon. Its incessant chatter convinces us that if we only had more money, a nicer car, a house in a better neighborhood, more toys, a different job, better health, a partner who understood us, a boss who appreciated us. You get the picture. Happiness would be achievable if we were only somewhere else in life. And when the demon of fear and the demon of never having enough get together, as they often do, the demon of entitlement is born. We find ourselves easily justifying why we are unable to help out others. We wish we could, we say to ourselves and anyone else who will listen. But if we did, we wouldn't be able to afford our daily trip to Starbucks. After all, we worked hard for our money. Aren't we entitled to that double chocolatey chip frappuccino with a blueberry streusel muffin on the side? Aren't we entitled to a little bit of happiness? And I can hear you now saying the preacher has now gone from preaching to meddling when he starts talking about my Starbucks coffee.